Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. It's that time of the day. It's that time of the week. Tim, it is Friday. Friday the 17th.
Oh!
Completely made that up.
It's not the 13th.
I know, yeah, exactly. You were thinking I was going Friday the 13th. But guess what? I wasn't.
I did.
We just wrapped up taping a show that, for the first time in crackpot history, thousands of years that we've been doing the show, we collaborated on a topic. And I got to say, Tim, pretty fun doing a show with you.
It was worth it. I think that's the best way to do it, especially this one. Let's never do it again, though.
Yeah, it is so much more work.
It really was.
It's counterintuitive. You think having more people contribute to a show means less work. In fact, it's way easier for us to kind of go off to our thing
Absolutely.
and then come back here and be like, here's the deal. And then have the other person try to poke holes in it. Like, that's way simpler than being like, should we talk about this? Should we talk about that?
I'll bring up this and then you bring up that.
Yeah, it was kind of odd. So,
but this one was a long time coming. I'm glad we finally got around to it, especially because this stuff is popping up in the news again. And as we talk about in the show, we've been referencing this nearly every single episode since we kicked it off, I feel like. But these absolutely bizarre, incredible articles from the New York Times that say that apparently, allegedly, UFO craft are out there. They are seeing them. They're recording them. We think there's alien life behind them potentially. We have metals that we've recovered from these encounters, and we're studying them. And we basically spend, 4.5 hours unpacking that and trying to figure out what that all means. And I hope we did it justice. And I hope that you, dear listener, go out and listen to some of those too. But I don't know, man. I feel like we could talk for another hour and a half about this, really.
couldn't agree more. So we basically just scratched the surface of all this, and yet we covered like 10 articles between us, and it was a lot of work. And the thing that I find so like crazy about this stuff is that it depends on who you talk to or read about, and you'll get a totally different perspective on what it could possibly be. So whether it's alien in origin or something else, it all depends on who's being quoted and who's talking about this stuff. So I don't know.
But yes, and there are some tangential, factual statements made by high-ranking people that are on the record that we can unpack, and we do, and what each of those means. But yeah, then there is space to kind of poke holes in those and kind of see, well, what does that actually mean, and can that actually be true as we understand it? And I mean, that's where it's fun, of course. But do yourself a favor and find these articles if you can and dig into them. But I don't know. I feel like we need to unpack the ending of that episode more here. Do you think, Zach? Okay, let me start here. Do you think the military people on the record are telling the truth?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Yeah. Yep. No question about it.
I do too, actually. And what's kind of fascinating, different podcasts I listened to kind of touched on these briefly and then, went off in a different direction. But one of the things he said is, he's hung around with a lot of military people his whole life. And the one thing they always say is, never believe a general. So
that's funny.
It is funny. And of course, that's tongue in cheek. They're in their own way, politicians are trying to please a lot of people. But, there's money trails, there's documents, and there's videos too. And I mean, we didn't even really go into the videos. And if you find these online, of course, and if you want to go to your library and look these up on microfilm, knock yourself out. But if you go online, of course, there are videos from cockpits accompanying these articles as well that you should definitely check out. And we didn't even talk about this. One of the videos had actually been circulating online around different UFO forums since like 2015. So like when it came out, like all these UFO buffs were like, oh yeah, we've seen that before. I thought that was true. So, I mean, just because you find a video on some bizarre random UFO.org website or, GeoCities doesn't mean that it's not real, apparently, because who knows, maybe in a couple months' time or a couple years' time, it'll be on the front page of the New York Times.
The only other thing I would add to what I found so interesting about this whole discussion and in this episode in particular, and we mentioned it a bunch of times on the show, is the fact that like These are real things that have actually been looked into, that the government has actually spent money on. And while, we don't have necessarily definitive answers, they are real things that people on the record are saying are real. So it's just crazy. Like, that's the crazy thing to me.
It's all just so bizarre and so hard to wrap your mind around. Hopefully we did it justice. Hopefully you'll come away knowing a little bit more, but also maybe questioning a lot more as well. So who knows? I don't know. Tune in Monday
to find out. All right, folks, let's wrap it up here. Have a wonderful Friday. Hopefully the birds are singing, the sun's shining, the wind's blowing just right, not too much, not too little. And we hope that tonight you have a great barbecue. Maybe, I don't know, whatever you do on Fridays. I don't care. Just have fun. See you guys.
We'll see you later.